Aren't we always in a positive mood whenever we start a Raw review? I start with a good, open-minded intro to tell you that I'm a happy guy. I'm a happy guy, guys. I love reviewing this shit. Every fucking week, I get a population of Montana's viewership, and I scream my fucking house out that my entire neighborhood can listen to me rant about fake fighting for 30 minutes. Let's continue with the review. Okay. Alright, we're in the intro and we open it off with just Brock Lesnar coming on backstage with Paul Heyman. And for the entire time, I think Brock Lesnar, and we had several segments with Brock Lesnar showing backstage, Brock Lesnar coming to the ring, Brock Lesnar coming backstage, with Kofi Kingston coming out of nowhere, Seth Rollins coming out of nowhere, all because Brock Lesnar holds Money in the Bank, even though he's already on the Raw roster. So not any of this making zero sense at all to you. Why wouldn't Brock Lesnar's major concern be attacking Kofi Kingston? You know, even though he's a fan favorite, he's kind of a weakling. Oh, God. So, he had some stupid-ass music playing when entering the ring. He made a boombox out of the Money in the Bank briefcase. Not only does that not fit his character, it looked completely awkward. And they had to awkwardly play the music. I can't believe how enthusiastic the babyface champions had to be. While they're like, yeah, I can't wait to be unpredictably cashed in and probably lose my championship maybe here, tomorrow, or on fucking Super Showdown, or the next Raw or SmackDown, so I don't get to face my opponent. Why are these guys optimistic? Shouldn't they be in like high accord or completely prepared? And yet Kofi Kingston took it, and guess who he beat? Somebody Brock Lesnar ragdolled. At least Seth Rollins has a chip on the shoulder. He beat Roman Reigns and he beaten Brock Lesnar before, so obviously he is more capable of beating Brock. And the funniest part in the entire segment was Paul Heyman rocking the fuck out on Seth Rollins' theme, and Rollins obviously walking out because this was literally the worst segment. Next up was Lance Anoa'i versus Shane McMahon with Drew McIntyre in his corner. Now, I don't know why Elias isn't here after he lost the 24/7 championship in under 24 hours. Haha. Get it? I'm fucking funny, alright? Shut your bitch ass up. Shut your bitch ass up. Sadly, I can't cut that. We had somebody that was supposed to be related to Roman Reigns. I don't think he will be when further research comes out later in the days. So, he came disrespecting him. I don't know why Shane McMahon would need but they're supposed to make him heelish and insult family members like what's been happening for the last several months and since February. So, yeah. Shane McMahon disrespected and absolutely assaulted and abused Lance on Hawaii and ended up with the 1-2-3. With the submission off a triangle chokehold. After a pretty good reversal, he had off a reverse elbow off a counter. And I thought he was just gonna end it off like a DDT or maybe if you wanted to do the coast to coast for extra fire in the flame. There's a crappy dropkick that I thought Lance was really gonna take his head off, and this was supposed to be a bit of a squash match. So Roman Reigns came out and assisted, beat the shit out of both Roman and Shane, and they ran off. This was a shitty segment because we knew this guy might not be related to Roman Reigns. And why didn't Roman Reigns speak? Next up was another segment involving Brock Lesnar. Like, why not you cash in right now, even though you know it's on your terms whenever you can cash in Money in the Bank? Paul Heyman had to retardedly read the instructions, what the fuck to do, plus it's like, oh, you can cash in before WrestleMania. Motherfucker, you're retarded. So he just left while R-Truth was literally running away. Why would you run away from the ring? You can literally do it anywhere you want. It's the 24/7 championship. All you need is a referee, and you can get pinned your house. You can get pinned backstage. You can get pinned in the ramp. Why was R-Truth running where most wrestlers would appear in front of the fucking ring? And then Spot fest occurs. EC3, Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander only had like one match on television. EC3 barely had a match except he got destroyed by Braun Strowman 3 weeks ago. And before I continue, they gotta stop with those little retarded ass little match promos involving Randy Orton and Triple H. Not only are they overplayed, you take it like you don't have a chance to have these trailers on like the network or some shit. We know it's Lesnar. We know it's Triple H and Orton. We get it. It's Triple H and Orton. Stop playing it. The same thing happened on SmackDown. I don't need to see it. We know the highlight reel. People hear who Randy Orton is. People know who Triple H is. I don't need to know their fucking feud that lasted nearly a decade. These guys haven't feuded since 2009. How is this relevant right now that this Super Showdown show deserves it? These guys didn't even have such a great match back in the past. They had a decent match back at WrestleMania 25, and their last decent one-on-one affair was in Unforgiven 2004. What a historic rivalry, folks. I mean, they also fought each other at the Royal Rumble 2005, but that was the best match out of all of them. And that No Mercy match, but I don't think anybody remembers that because they had multiple title changes, and Triple H won most of them. He beat him back at Unforgiven 2004. He beat him to retain the World Heavyweight Championship 2005 at the Royal Rumble. Then, the next time they fucking fought was 2 years later at No Mercy when Orton was given the vacant WWE Championship after Cena was injured. Triple H would win it just a segment earlier when Regal and McMahon were in the ring, and then in a last-minute standing match at the main event. That's a majority of title changes, of very little title changes, and Triple H won most of them. Then their final feud, one of their final feuds, had Orton lose at WrestleMania 25, and then The Bash instead of the Great American Bash, because back then, 2009, was the early years of WWE being PG's fucking corny, so they shortened everything. They made Judgment Day look like ass. 2009 was the last Backlash. Somehow that pay-per-view had to leave, but Over the Limit stayed for a few years. And Breaking Point was there, if y'all remember that shit. Then, fucking, that was it. The only thing Orton did still over the latter half of his career was become a 15-time World Heavyweight Champion while associating with Triple H. So this entire feud was pointless as fuck. I don't know why this match has to be on pay-per-view, especially on a fucking Friday, especially in a different fucking country that are just having these top guys wrestle, because somehow these faggots can't make their own fucking wrestling federation if they have the money to. They awarded, like, literally, I think it was like $30 million they gave WWE. And WWE's taking it because their ratings fucking sucked. And nobody wants to talk about WWE anymore because they're ass. Back on that jobber championship that R-Truth held to. Instead of like Carl Anderson or EC3. Guys that deserve the push. But a guy like R-Truth, hold on to it. After Kalisto was close to rolling him up later in the show. He just ran off on the plug twice, and with Carmella, fucking Corey Graves' side piece, and left for the fucking segments to end. I don't want to continue off with the 24/7 championship, because that's going to take a budget of the review, and I have to keep my head contained for the rest of the show. Plus, the Iconics keep losing. The next match was the Iconics versus Becky Lynch and Nikki Cross. So somehow Nikki Cross stopped being the lackey over Alexa Bliss for the last 4 weeks, and then just come attacking, just trying to feud with the Iconics that haven't defended like the SmackDown Women's Championship, I think, ever since getting him. And they have very little chemistry. They can't work. All they do is sloppily screen. Not only Billie Kay cannot wrestle, Nikki Cross is so fucking sloppy it made the match unwatchable. I think there was a messed up back suplex, a terrible crossbody that looked like Nikki Cross's face was going to get planted on the floor, even though she had to crossbody 2 women. I think there's 2 people to hold her up perfectly to make sure she doesn't get her ass hurt, and yet it looked poorly. Then we had Becky Lynch, the Women's Championship champion, the Raw Women's Champion because she holds 2 belts and then loses them in one pay-per-view. That shows how strong she is, right? Fuck Becky Lynch. She doesn't even have a character. The only thing keeping her relevant right now is that she's sucking Seth Rollins' dick, and she's over by having a man's name in her mouth while she's a woman trying to push a women's division. That's my take on it. I don't give a fuck about Becky Lynch right now. I don't never cared about her push. I thought this was just a one-hit wonder to get her a bit over. Things people have been asking her to turn heel ever since like 2016. And try to get over Charlotte's shadow, and it still looks like she's over it now, but she's kind of, people keep getting her in the mouth like she's really that unique. Yes, Becky Lynch is a good wrestler. Yes, she's pretty likable. But other than that, there's no character into her. She isn't a Steve Austin. She's just Becky Lynch that likes to shout now. With no other character in her, other than there's a man plastered around her Titantron, and her character looks like what her gear looks like what if Jean Grey wanted to wrestle. And Nikki Cross can't wrestle. It ended off a roll-up, and that just ended off with fucking Becky Lynch getting the win with Nikki Cross. Then Lacey Evans came out of nowhere from the entrance and just blah, 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 blah. That was it. I did not care about this segment. Match of the night went to fucking Cesaro and Ricochet, two of my favorite wrestlers. When Cesaro was better when he had the little Swiss Superman gimmick where he kept doing this. I did not like the pants ripping shit. I think I liked him better when he was like, Savidu. Dude, I forgot what that song was called. That was such a catchy song. I liked it. But I think it was like back in his 2013 run. Well, I mean, when he was U.S. champion for a while. Then he lost to The Miz, I think. Other than that, this was a really great match. This really showed how much good wrestling could be in WWE when you actually make these guys tell a bit of a story and show how dangerous one another's move are. How crafty Ricochet was. He had a great senton. Powerful uppercuts to show how strong Cesaro was. He literally held him with 2 legs in a triangle choke, lifted himself up, then got some kind of sunset flip over for the pinfall. That was fucking awesome. Next was an uppercut that I think he oversold it, but it uppercutted him so hard, it jumped him nearly across the ring to the corner. That looked so freaking awesome. It ended up with Ricochet gathering the victory off a roll-up. I think it's just 50-50 booking because I think Cesaro got the win last time. This was a really great match. Next up was the Fatal 4-Way match shown earlier. And before we even get to that, there was backstage segments involving the Usos just fucking around with everybody. Tamina getting involved. I don't know when Tamina started feuding. I think that was just like a gimmick. Thanks, it was Memorial Day. So, yeah. I didn't care. Next up was the Usos still saying it's lit, acting like fucking retards, acting like they're teenagers, even though these are like 30-year-old grown men. So we had a fatal 4-way that was involving Braun Strowman, The Miz, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley in an elimination fatal 4-way match for the whoever wins gets to face the Universal Champion. And Braun Strowman and Lashley have already a match on the pay-per-view, so why couldn't you just make it The Miz and Baron Corbin? But you just wanted to add Braun Strowman and Lashley in it because these guys were supposed to be your top guys. But Braun Strowman hasn't been big since 2017. Lashley hasn't done shit since early this year. Miz has been in a hot feud with Shane McMahon in a minute, and Baron Corbin been overly pushed. Spoilers, Baron Corbin won in an it match because it's just a Miz with his slow-placed rip-off of moves of Daniel Bryan, double knees everywhere, Braun Strowman getting overpowered just by 2 men while he'd been in multi-man squash matches earlier in the singles push of his career. But Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley are so difficult to take when Finn Balor beat Bobby Lashley multiple times and AJ Styles pinned fucking Corbin clean before. This makes no fucking sense. But they brawled out backstage because somehow Braun Strowman and Lashley are feuding. So it was just Miz and Corbin left in the ring. and off a clothesline missed for a deep six. That was earlier in the matchup. That ended off an end of days off an attempted clothesline. End of days look so devastating when you hit somebody with a weapon with it, and now it just looks trash. Oh boy. Baron Corbin against Seth Rollins. Not only was this this is going to be a disinteresting match, I think it's going to be a disinteresting pay-per-view. Then they told me earlier this was going to be a 50-man battle royale. So literally just the greatest Royal Rumble mixed on with Super Showdown. Because you saw how the greatest Royal Rumble did, right? Next up was involving Bray Wyatt's little Firefly Funhouse. The segment with him, like with the doctor segment, he is a bully. This is scary. I mean, it's the most entertaining parts of the show, but it's like, if it involves another wrestler, maybe I can actually keep this more credible. And, just more of the time I waste time with these Firefly segments is like, is it really giving Bray Wyatt most of a career? Thanks, like, there's not that many new wrestlers that don't know Bray Wyatt now. They know how unpredictable he is, so this is kind of ridiculous continuing these segments, and this one happened for the last several weeks. So, and no disrespect, these segments are well played, but it's like they do this both on Raw and SmackDown now. So this is kind of overplaying the new gimmick that's supposed to be Bray Wyatt, this scary children's show ripoff thing. That should be over. I like this, but if they did this only for Raw, since Bray Wyatt's supposed to be on Raw, but he is on SmackDown as well. But Raw is where the most hours are, so I don't know why you have to display it on SmackDown. You also have it on your YouTube channel, so points on doing that was completely pointless. Next up was the main event that involved Sami Zayn facing off against Seth Rollins for some apparent reason. And Sami Zayn had an electric chair segment that was pretty entertaining, with him roasting the intelligence of the fans, having his own opinions. The critics of critics. I like this little gimmick. I like how he just complains about the fan base after being a consistent jobber for the last several years he's been in the company. He even referenced AEW. That was pretty cool, I guess. Even though Double or Nothing was a pretty good pay-per-view and referencing something that turned a bit successful and has quite a following for a while. Kind of fucked up for Sami that had a pretty good match with Seth. It's had good wrestling, but shitty everything else. It ended off a double curb stomp. Seth Rollins was just selling the knee. And we know how Seth Rollins is inconsistent in selling leg injuries for the last 4 years he's been in the WWE. And Sami Zayn just shows how good he is in the ring, but just not storytelling in the ring. But this was a really good match. I did not care about and we're going to go over the negatives. And this had a good match, but poor and a good segment. So this show gets 3 out of 10. The match of the nights were incredible. I loved Cesaro and Ricochet. The electric chair segment was pretty nice. They're overdoing these Bray Wyatt segments. If you wanted to do backstage segments involving Bray Wyatt, because I'm uncomfortable seeing this nigga with kids, and it's building his heel character, I know, but they're rerunning these like on Raw and SmackDown, so it's either change the setting up or do something completely different, because I don't like watching this consistently. Next, Sami Zayn is good, but give him an actual feud. I don't know who he's feuding with now. Kofi Kingston is overstaying his welcome. He's WWE Champion, but he's on SmackDown. Let him stay on SmackDown. If you want Brock Lesnar to visit SmackDown, he can, thanks he's a Money in the Bank briefcase winner. Do something, WWE. You don't care about the brand split. You obviously co-adverse with like these Salaby shows and shit like that barely get that much viewership. People don't want to watch that shit, WWE. Stick with the shit you know. Kofi Kingston is a disinteresting WWE champion. Why return Dolph Ziggler right now? The 24/7 championship should not be held by our truth. It's not even the funnest segment in the show. It's just filler. And the only way to escape filler. There was too much Brock Lesnar on Raw. I did not like any of these segments. The Iconics are the worst thing in the women's division, and so was Becky Lynch. I don't care what niggas think. Becky Lynch is the weakest part of the women's division. The Iconics are consistent jobbers, and women don't have a tag team division to build themselves up upon. Just make one women's championship. If you want to make a tag division, you should have one tag division and one women's singles division. It shouldn't be that difficult. The Iconics shouldn't be the only thing going. To lose when the Kabuki Warriors, I'm still pissed off. That's a name for women. That's a name for a tag team. I'm pissed off. The Kabuki Warriors are literally the only other tag team because they're Japanese females. You fucking racists. While 205 Live is just backwards. WWE has no plans. They have 2 world champions that come in the same show consistently. If this does not spit WWE Monday Night Raw Super Show, I don't know what will. Because you faggots just allow everything to be on TV now. There's too many championships. I don't think I even saw the Raw Tag Team Champions. Who are the Raw Tag Team Champions? Oh, right! Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. I think you guys forgot that they were even in the fucking show. We didn't see much of Cedric Alexander, even though how much he was hyped up. What the fuck are we doing here? Most of the times you guys be super optimistic. WWE might do that. WWE might do that. They might be really perfect if they might do that. They're not. You guys are totally in fucking La La Land. I keep reviewing this shit, and I see the same rerun bullshit. Brock Lesnar's mainly on TV a lot. Seth Rollins can't handle any other thing or can't get over without, like, his stupid theme song. Kofi Kingston is a disinteresting world champion. He's literally just a slave given gold. Fuck you. The tag division's a joke. The jobbers are still worse than jobbers now. The women's division is a joke. And this review is over. Confirm my verdict. That's all you're gonna get from me. Stay tuned for the SmackDown review.